Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. Excuse the different background today. As you can see, I am definitely not in my shed. I'm actually in my bedroom, and you can see the fan here and the cat tower over here. And a cat. So I apologize if there's some cat interruption for this episode, but I could not even bring myself to think about going over to the shed today. It has been so hot. It's mid-30s here today, and we have had heat wave conditions for the past few days, and the shed will just be so hot you would see me melting. So yeah, no, I am decided that today is going to be a shoot in the house with the fan and the aircon going instead. As I said, it has been really hot, so there hasn't been a whole stack of farm stuff happening. We have had the blackberry spraying rig delivered, and we have done one morning of blackberry spraying. My mum and I did 3 tanks, so it takes 600 litres of water, which you then mix the poison into per tank, and we were able to do our footy oval area. And I spoke about the different bits of the farm that we give names. So last week, so we tackled that area in the hope that we can then slash it in a couple of months, get rid of all of the blackberry and the dead canes, and then go through and hopefully get it grown enough for cutting hay next year, or at the end of this year. I might end up being able to do a little bit more of that tomorrow morning. The days are getting really hot, but then the mornings are still okay. So if it's not going to be too windy or hot tomorrow morning, we might get a tank or two done then, with the aim of getting some of our bush area done and a little bit more grass space over there by the shed, or by the creek as well. The other thing that we are currently doing is pumping water from the shed tanks over here to the house. So we go from the shed to some concrete tanks that are along through our stock run, and then to a hose that goes into the downpipe just outside my window here, and then that flows down into the tanks, which is on the other side of the house. So Adam has been pumping to the concrete tank first, and then he'll switch it over and make the pump go from the concrete tanks to here. We were getting quite low on water. Our shed tanks are reasonably full at the moment, which is good. So we've got enough to do the blackberry spraying, pump some to the house, and then I should have some left over to do a little bit of yarn dyeing as well. But some more rain would be great, but the forecast doesn't have any rain for quite a while. In fact, that heat is just going to continue, and as you can see, even in here with the air conditioning on, I'm melting. So I would not have been really good over in the shed today. Also, given that it's been hot, I have not really been doing any dyeing. I said last week that I was going to start to do my Christmas colorway. I have not started that, and given this hot weather, it might be another week or so before I actually get back seriously into the dye pots, unless there is a special order that I need to do. What I actually should do, if I want to do some dyeing, and look, I kind of am itching a little bit, but I've been doing a lot of knitting instead, is to make sure that in the evening, say on a Friday or a Saturday, I get in and put the yarn into soak that I want to get ready, and then get up super early the next morning and do the dyeing before it gets too hot. The problem is now that we've got the blackberry spraying unit is on those cool, still weekend mornings. That's when is the best time to do that job. So it then cuts out the time that I would be able to go over to the shed and do the dyeing. So I'm just kind of leaving it as is for the moment. I have been thinking about some different stall setups and looking at buying some different shelving options, and I need to also order a new banner. So the mind is going, and I feel like once I'm back at work, my mind gets back into overall work mode. And I have been thinking about things that I want to start to do this year and things that I need to buy and do and get colours sorted out and all that kind of thing. So the ideas are flowing in terms of what I want to do. Now I just need to get in and actually action some of that stuff. As I mentioned last week, I have updated my markets and events page. So that is all ready to go. You can see all of the markets that I have already been officially accepted into. And I am currently applying for a couple more to fill out my schedule. And then I'll see how I go in terms of my availability and energy levels and production of yarn and all that kind of stuff. And I might see if there are some workshops and teaching that I might be able to get myself involved with as well. But that kind of comes at the end after everything else is sorted out. First to what I'm wearing this week, this is the Humla top. I'll put a thing up here. That I was talking to you about last week that I had made in a larger size and didn't get the length right, and I ripped it back and cast on for the smallest size in the hopes that I would be able to get a full top out of one skein of silk yarn. And I have, which I'm so happy with. So I haven't done any of the lace patterning that's in the pattern. What I did do though is it has a garter detail on the sleeve here, and I incorporated that just under the sleeve cap here as well. I have a little bit of garter around here and it blocked out really nice and straight. And then I did ribbing. Yes, I did ribbing on the bottom, just a little tiny bit, just so that it didn't flip up. And it comes down to my belly button. So where I'm wearing high-waisted shorts, which I do mostly wear during summer, this is the perfect length top. Nice and open at the neckline, little cute cap sleeves, and a perfect length. And the silk is really comfortable to wear as well. So I'm so happy that this has worked out with doing some maths and a little bit of figuring. And where did I put it? I had what was left of the yarn. 1 second. And this one little strand is all that I had left from the entire ball. I even had a little swatch that I ripped out so that I could finish the bind off. And this is what I had left. So I really did use every single piece of yarn to make this top. So I'm really, really pleased. So I feel like this is something that I might be able to then use again for some other special single skeins of yarn in my stash, or incorporate maybe a slip stitch or mosaic pattern through the yoke using a second color. And then that will for sure get me one skein of special yarn with a contrast through the top. If the yardage is a little bit shorter than this was, or if I want a little bit more length. So yeah, really, really pleased with this. Because it was so hot, I was able to block it really quickly and be able to wear it straight away. Okay, now to my current works in progress. I have not touched the socks, the DK socks for my sister this past week. They're sitting just down here, and was knitting a little bit in bed, either in the morning or in the evening when it wasn't so hot. But I haven't felt like doing that these last week, so they have seen no work. I also have not done anything on my Avena cardigan since last week because it is already a huge panel with all of those crochet squares put together. It is so hot to have on my lap. It kind of drapes across because it's one huge piece, and I just haven't felt like working on that either. But I didn't cast on anything new, but I've done a lot of knitting. What I did do is pick up my Melanie jumper, which I made last year. It is made out of Leosum yarn. It's a pole merino wool. And this is it in the ball. And I'm holding that together with this, which is a silk, I believe, which was dyed by Fiberific in the coral. So those two together which is making this beautiful fabric. Isn't it gorgeous? I really love this. And I had finished this jumper. Well, kind of finished. So I finished it, blocked it, tried it on, and the sleeves were so tight. I had tried it on before I picked up for the sleeves, and the arm side is the right length, like it fits really nicely. But as soon as I did the pickup for the sleeves, which was the smallest or second smallest size, it wasn't enough stitches, and I didn't really think about it. I just followed the pattern, and it wasn't. I thought, oh, it looks a little bit narrow, but it'll block out, like it should be fine because the arm side was the right like width, right? Um, but I knit down to about here somewhere, and then you're supposed to roll the cuff up, and I blocked it, and it was like my arms were in sausage casings. It was so tight, and there was no way that I was going to wear it. So it's been sitting in a bag beside my knitting chair just in the other room, and it's kind of been taunting me a little bit. Like, you need to fix this. You're not going to be happy. I hadn't put it away. I hadn't put any of the leftover yarn or anything away because I was thinking that I needed to actually rip the sleeves out. So on one of those hot days, instead of knitting, I undid the cast off on the sleeves and I ripped them both out completely back to just the underarm. And I have now re-knit both the sleeves to this point. So it comes down to just below my elbow curve at the moment. I still have this much per sleeve left, plus the, how did a second ago, plus this as well. So I should be able to get sleeves to whatever length that I want. In the actual pattern, the sleeves are like 3/4. So I'm thinking maybe I will do a 3/4 sleeve for these now with like the folded hem. So I picked up, originally I think the pickup was, I'll probably have the pattern. No, I don't. I'll put it on the screen. The pickup was really tiny, and I've actually picked up the number of stitches for about the 5th size rather than for the 1st or 2nd size. What I did is I counted my number of rows, and I figured that if I picked up 1 stitch for every row of the arm, then that would be the right fit to go around. And I've tried it on now, and it is a much better fit. And then I also have not followed the instructions in terms of the decreases either. I waited until I got to my elbow bend, and I've now put in 2 lots of decreases. I now need to put it onto onto a cable so that I can try it on again. But obviously that's not happening today because it's like way too hot. But I want to try it on again and see where these sleeves now come to and how wide they feel. And then I will knit a bit more and start to figure out the final length. I am a little bit flexible in terms of the length because what I did for the neckband that was a double, like folded over, was I used just a white on the inside, and I figure I could do that on the cuff as well, and that would give it some nice structure. I don't think I need to do it at the bottom. The length here is pretty good, but again, I could rip back this bind off and change that if I wanted to, but I've got a clip here, and I think I'm going to fold this up, the bind off up to the where that marker is on the inside, to do the double hem around the bottom. So yeah, a project that had sat for a little while kind of finished and has seen a little bit of new life, and I'm excited to get these sleeves finished and reblocked, because you can clearly see that I just didn't even bother about the yarn. I just left it all crinkly and just knit it, but you can clearly see the difference between the blocked side here and the sleeves here, which is a little bit crinkly, but I think it'll be fine once I give it another wash. So it was actually nice. It feels good to get something that's been pending for a little while, back on the needles and getting that fixed. In terms of upcoming projects, I'm thinking about trying to make another one of these in this yarn, I think, which is a Noro Uchiwa. There's the card there. And it is a cotton viscose silk blend. This is an 8-ply. It's 500 meters. And I think that I should be able to do a swatch of this and do a little bit of figuring out and hopefully cast on and make a very similar garment to this one, but with a slightly thicker yarn. She does have a pattern for an 8-ply version of this, but it is a paid for pattern. And because I'm not using the lace panel and just sort of playing around with my own numbers, I think that I should be able to figure it out. We'll see how we go. It depends how mathy my brain is at a particular point in time. But yeah, that's my thought. It's been sitting at the front of my stash cupboard and it's quite large. And this would definitely be great for a summer top as well. And it's something that I didn't even buy. I think I won it at a raffle or something. You know, when it's a yarn that you probably wouldn't have ever bought for yourself, but you kind of really like it and want to use it. And I think this is going to stripe. So it will be fun to play around and see how that one comes out. But I do want to finish that Melanie first, although maybe this afternoon is a good day for some swatching rather than trying to try on sleeves and deal with that. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'll at least have a swatch next week that I can talk to you about. I also wanted to share with you that there are a number of events and fundraising efforts happening with Yarny people for the bushfire relief. There is a raffle being run by Mavis Handmade and She's Crafty for some wildlife organisations that are looking after injured animals. And there is also an event for a cinema in Ballarat, which is like a knit and watch a movie, and they're also having a raffle as well. The tickets for the movie have sold out, but you can still buy the raffle tickets for that event. I will put an info up here with a QR code so that you can go and check them out and donate. They are donating to the Victorian Emergency Relief and Recovery Foundation. I have donated a couple of prizes for that one, and there are so many great Victorian and Australian hand dyers and yarn producers that are taking part in both of those particular raffles that if you are inclined to want to support people who have been affected by the recent bushfires, and would also like to be in the running for some great yarn prizes, that's a really good way to show your support and to make a contribution to those emergency funds. That's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me in this different location this week. Hopefully next week it is cooler and I can get back to being in the shed. Meanwhile, if you really enjoy these videos, I would really appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. It will help me a lot to get seen by more people. And I really enjoy bringing these to you every week and sharing what I'm doing. So until next week, have a good week.